Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars franchise seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about their new live-action and animated Star Wars TV shows to arrive on Disney+, as well as their new Star Wars trilogy of movies, also known as the fourth Star Wars trilogy. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the one thing about Disney Star Wars is that we do know that they are now currently in a phase of desperation and damage control to really get the ball rolling again when it comes to this massive brand. Essentially, what they really want to do when it comes to the franchise is that they really want to make Star Wars as best as it can be. They really want to take advantage of the overall potential that they really do have. And even Bob Iger talked about this at the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker, stating that they are now just figuring out exactly how much potential they really have for the Star Wars universe to really succeed. Now, their aim is to really make it as successful as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as I've said multiple times, it's going to take a lot of time and effort, a high success rate to get it to such a level. So, given that they have over 10 years worth of Star Wars projects in the works on Disney Plus alone, which by the way, that is a lot, that speaks volumes on Disney's end, that they are very ambitious about the franchise of creating a library's worth of Star Wars material to really arrive in the next couple of years, starting off with The Mandalorian Season 2 this October, which by the way, we will be getting a trailer for that later this month, so keep an eye open for that. Now, what's really exciting all about this is the fact that Disney is really making a lot of changes behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm to really make sure that Lucasfilm can succeed. Now, one thing that may seem very controversial has to do with J.J. Abrams. With both Disney and Lucasfilm now finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are now focused on their new Star Wars trilogy of movies as well as their new Star Wars universe. It's explained that currently both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are developing multiple plans in order to reunite the Star Wars fandom around the entire world. Now, it's noted that Disney is going through major changes behind the scenes over at Lucasfilm in order to create a better and brighter future for the franchise. Now, it's noted that one big plan by Disney is to rehire director and writer J.J. Abrams for a handful of 2 Star Wars projects in the near future, and that discussions have been made with Abrams on his return into the Star Wars universe. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, I'm a little on and off about this. I really don't know how I feel about Abrams returning into the Star Wars franchise in any way, shape, or form, but I digress. Now, it's explained that J.J. Abrams is set to become an executive producer for one Star Wars TV show for Disney Plus that is said to be the Rise of Skywalker sequel series that will be in animated form and is aimed to be released sometime in 2023 on Disney Plus. Now, keep in mind, guys, that animated series is going to have a realistic type of animation style. It's going to look more like the cutscenes from Battlefront 2 and or the cutscenes from the old Republic video game. Now, the other TV series is described to be an unnamed show that also holds connections to The Rise of Skywalker and will be live action, and that J.J. Abrams will serve as a co-writer for a handful of episodes for the new Star Wars TV series on Disney+. Now, while this may seem controversial to many fans out there, television is best described as JJ's preferred territory. Now, let's stop right here for a second. You guys may remember that we went over this a couple of days ago, that Leslie Headland, for her TV series, she initially had a co-writer for a handful of episodes for her TV show, which that co-writer was let go by George Lucas and Bob Chapek, and they were looking for a new co-writer that's going to be chosen by George Lucas. I think we can start to see the pieces fitting into the puzzle here, that it's very possible that the live-action show that J.J. Abrams is going to serve as a co-writer could very well be the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV series, but that's just my opinion. Disney decided to have conversations with Abrams around 2 months ago about the 2 projects to bring him back into the Star Wars universe, where the 2 series are said to hold great connections to Episode 9, and that this is the main reason as to why they wanted Abrams back as a co-writer and as an executive producer for these projects. However, he will be supervised by both George Lucas and Disney CEO Bob Chapek during the time to make sure that these projects don't go out of control. Now, Lucas had actually worked with Abrams on Episode 9 before Kathleen Kennedy initiated many of the rewrites and reshoots for the film, where it's best noted that these will actually be Abrams' 2 last projects for the Star Wars universe. So keep in mind that he is done with the films and has expressed interest with working in Star Wars television for a while now, where Lucasfilm is in the process of hiring new creators to handle the new Star Wars universe, and that this is a big step that they have made by, of course, making 2 projects that are connected to Episode 9 as close to the film's tone as possible. Now, this decision was made by Disney CEO Bob Chapek to have Abrams work closely with George Lucas, and that Chapek only allowed this to happen since Lucas would be watching over Abrams, while co-writing and being an executive producer for these 2 new Star Wars TV series for Disney+, where Kathleen Kennedy behind the scenes is said to not be so thrilled about this decision and is against the idea by Lucas and Chapek to do this to the new universe. Though, of course, JJ will only be attached to these 2 new Star Wars projects for Disney+, fans are still worried that Abrams will create problems within the new Star Wars universe for the entire franchise as a whole. So here's the thing about Abrams, is that I don't necessarily believe that this is going to cause a lot of problems within the franchise. I will say this, is that it's going to create a lot of worry among the fans. Based on what Abrams had done with The Force Awakens, not a lot of people out there were very happy with Episode 7 because of how much it copied A New Hope and how it had a lot of similarities to that and how he played it very safe. But do keep in mind that that was really all Iger's idea behind the scenes. He really wanted to play things safe after the criticism that George Lucas got with the prequels, right? They didn't want to do something completely different right from the get-go. They wanted to actually pay a lot of, tributes to the old Star Wars films. Now, the thing about this, though, this entire scenario where we have Abrams coming back as an executive producer and as a co-writer, separately, of course, for 2 projects. It's very interesting of the fact that, they are in this process now where J.J. Abrams is being reduced down to, a co-writer and an executive producer for television at that, apart from the actual movies, which, by the way, guys, I think it's a very good piece of news that he's not going to be associated with the films. I think that we're really relying more so now on experienced writers and directors for the new Star Wars films, and writers and or directors that have already been attached to Star Wars that have been successful, like The Mandalorian is a great example there. So, when we look at everything related to the future of this franchise, obviously a lot of fans are very much on edge with J.J. Abrams coming back as an executive producer and as a co-writer for 2 Star Wars projects. Now, in case you guys did not know, the Rise of Skywalker sequel series is actually aimed to have realistic animation styles. It's not going to be like Rebels, it's not going to be like the Clone Wars, and as I said before, it's going to be more in line with how video game cutscenes are, like with Battlefront 2 or the Old Republic. Kind of try to imagine that, of how the characters look more lifelike as far as the overall design goes, how they actually move around, the overall animation, and the overall design. It's going to appear more lifelike. It's actually aimed to be a bridge between animation and live action. That's what Lucasfilm is shooting for with the Rise of Skywalker sequel series, aimed for a 2023 release. Now, Abrams is going to be an executive producer on that because obviously it's a big attachment to the Rise of Skywalker. Makes a lot of sense. I can understand that. The unnamed live action TV series of how he's going to be a co-writer, that's a big deal, because he's going to be able to write some of the dialogue and some of the story elements of a handful of episodes for some of those TV shows out there. Or that one TV show, I should say, that one live action one. It really makes one wonder, what is it? What's it going to be called? What era is it going to be based in? And exactly what makes it connected to the Rise of Skywalker, right? So that's the overall, controversy, I think, is that a lot of fans, would argue that Abrams didn't really also handle Star Wars in the best way possible as well. I'm kind of on the fence, I'm saying that The Force Awakens was entertaining to me. It had its problems. I won't, lie about that here. I will say that that movie did have problems. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's pretty much a fact. It had a lot of flaws. But Abrams in this new universe, I don't think we should worry too much because it really seems to be very minimal. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.